Welcome to the Connecting to Your Iggy video. Please note that closed captions are available for this video.
隐藏式字幕以普通话提供.
한국어 자막 안내입니다.
Thank you for choosing Iggy, a family of Ross Video's live audio over IP converters offering the most broadly interoperable, flexible, and robust AES67 and ST2110 implementation on the market. Connecting to Your Iggy. This video is part of a series of short tutorial videos which walk a user through the initial device setup and the various ways to make audio connections. This first video describes the IP networks in which your Iggy can be used. It will also show how to physically connect the Iggy and set up the management Ethernet port so that you can communicate with and further configure your Iggy. When you have completed the steps in this video, your Iggy will be accessible through the ROS dashboard system, and you will be ready to configure your Iggy as needed for your application. With the AES67 protocol, audio can be transferred over an Ethernet network to and from many devices connected to the same network. At the edge of this network, any audio devices need to transmit and or receive one or more audio streams into or out of the IP cloud using the AES67 protocol. In general, the Iggy products act as translators for audio data over an IP network. The Iggy MADI translates between a MADI port and the IP network. An audio device that has a MADI port can use an Iggy MADI to connect up to 64 channels to an audio IP network cloud. This is the Iggy MADI. There are two data Ethernet net ports which support locking EtherCon cables as well as standard RJ45 cables. They are used to connect to your data network cloud to transport the audio data over IP with hitless redundancy via the industry standard AES67 and ST2110 protocols. Power is applied either via a 15-volt adapter, power over Ethernet on net port 1, or both for a redundant power configuration. The adapter connection should be screwed on firmly to ensure uninterrupted operation. On the other side, Iggy has an industry standard MADI port to connect directly to various sound devices including sound cards, mixers, and other pro audio and video equipment such as Ross's Ultrix SDI switcher. You need a MADI-compatible SFP cage, either coax or fiber depending on what you are connecting it to, installed in the Iggy. Iggy also has a Tally/GPIO DB25 port for control as well as monitoring simple devices in various applications. Here are the LED status indications showing power and overall status, PTP mode and status, network activity, and MADI lock. Back beside the power port, the Iggy has input and output reference clock ports. These can be used optionally, along with the clock signals on the MADI port, PTP Ethernet network timing, and internal rate adaptation technology to make the Iggy work reliably in environments with complex or simple clocking topologies. The Iggy can even act as a PTP master on your network to coordinate timing between all your media devices. Finally, there is a third RJ45 or EtherCon port labeled Control to allow connection to an independent configuration network. Use this port to configure your Iggy and PC through Ross's dashboard application. Dashboard is a free and open platform from Ross Video for the control and monitoring of hundreds of products within the Open Gear and Dashboard Connect ecosystem, including your Iggy. The dashboard client can run on Windows, Mac, or Linux computers. To connect to the Iggy, you must have Dashboard installed on your computer. You can download the latest version from www.rossvideo.com/dashboard. Follow the instructions on the download page for your OS to install Dashboard. You should now connect your Iggy to the same network as your PC that is running Dashboard. If you can't use an existing network for your control traffic, you can also use an isolated network switch, or even a single Ethernet cable directly between your PC and your Iggy. However, the best solution is to use an existing wired network so that your PC remains connected to the internet as usual. We recommend that you use a dedicated control network connected to your Iggy's control port. This will allow you to use the Net1 and Net2 ports solely for your audio data network and redundant audio data network, and so keep them free from control traffic. However, if you need to, it is also possible to use the Net ports to configure your device. For now, we will assume a simple control connection through an existing network. For this configuration, plug your Iggy's control port into this network and ensure that your PC is using a wired connection to the same network. You may need to turn off your PC's Wi-Fi to force it to use its wired connection. Open the dashboard application on your PC. You will need to do some rudimentary configuration of your Iggy's network settings using the Dashboard Walkabout feature before a newly shipped Iggy or one that has been factory reset will be available to configure as a device in Dashboard. Walkabout allows you to adjust the IP configuration of your Iggy even when your Iggy is not yet correctly configured for your network. To use Walkabout, open the File menu of Dashboard. Then, click the Show Walkabout item to open the Walkabout tab. Click the Refresh button in the Walkabout tab to see any updates. You may see a warning from your firewall the first time you open Walkabout. If so, allow Dashboard to work on all networks. You should now see any Walkabout-compatible products on your network listed in the Walkabout tab. If your Iggy still does not appear in Walkabout, please view the troubleshooting video for more details. To make the columns wider to ensure all information is shown, adjust the sides of the headers. The 3 different Ethernet ports of the Iggy will appear as separate rows in the Walkabout tab. The brackets in the device column indicate which row is for which Ethernet port, these ports being the control, Net1, and Net2 ports. The asterisk indicates the port currently being used to access your Iggy. If you have multiple Iggy's on your network, you can click the Locate button to make the LEDs flash on the associated Iggy. To better identify your Iggy, rename it to something more specific. Click on one of the rows under the Name column to change its name. In this tutorial, we will name the Iggy Tutorial Iggy. Since all 3 ports are connected to the same Iggy, changing the name in one port will automatically change it in all 3. Now you should set the IP address and mask as needed to continue with your configuration. Every Iggy will ship with its control port configured to a static IP address of 192.168.0.100, which likely won't be correct for your network. The net ports will be configured with DHCP enabled by default. Set up your Iggy's control port to be on the same subnet as your PC. If you are using an existing network, you should obtain instructions from your network administrator indicating what IP configuration to use for your Iggy. You may be told to use a particular static IP address and mask for your Iggy, or you may be told to use DHCP mode, which is where the network will automatically assign an IP address to the Iggy. If you are using an isolated switch or a direct wire for your PC, it is best to configure your control port to DHCP mode. In this case, if there is no DHCP server on the network, the port will use a self-assigned IP address starting with 169.254, and assuming your PC does the same, they will work nicely together for the initial setup or a simple demo. However, it is best not to use this fallback mechanism in a professional system, as IP addresses may change every time the device reboots. Click on the IP address fields for the control port and enter the desired values. To configure DHCP mode in Walkabout, enter an IP address of 0.0.0.0. You will then notice that the device column information now reflects that this Iggy is in DHCP mode. After you reboot the Iggy, the IP column will then show the assigned IP address for this Iggy. As soon as any new values are entered, such as a new IP address, the device field will indicate that you will need to reboot the Iggy for the changes to take effect. Before rebooting, configure all the fields you need. You may now configure the net ports, or you can do that later. Click the Reboot button and wait a minute or 2 while the Iggy reboots. The word rebooting will appear in the device column during this process. After the Iggy is back up, the word rebooting will disappear. You may need to click the Refresh button to show the updated status of the Iggy after the reboot. With your Iggy's IP address now configured to match the same subnet as your PC, your Iggy should now appear on the left in the dashboard device tree. If your device does not appear automatically, click the Refresh button above the device tree to update the list of devices, or ensure that the dashboard preferences are set to enable automatic discovery of devices. If your Iggy still does not appear, please view the troubleshooting video. Once your Iggy appears, open the control page for your Iggy in Dashboard by expanding the Iggy tree, then double-clicking on Iggy. If the tree cannot be expanded or clicking on it shows the Web UI page, this means that the proper dashboard experience is not yet working. Please view the troubleshooting video. After successfully opening your Iggy's control page, you should now see a welcome page with some general information. This is the Welcome tab. Once you can see the Iggy Welcome tab, you are ready to proceed to the next video tutorial called Using the Iggy Setup Wizard, to learn more about the initial configuration of your device to get it ready for streaming real audio traffic on your network. Thank you for watching and for choosing Ross Video.